It's okay with me.
All right, we are recording, and thanks HJ for the New Year's
Yeah.
salutation, whatever. It's good to see you. It's, we're I guess we're a little disappointed that we didn't have a mainnet release in 2019,
Yeah.
but we look good for 2020.
Yeah. What's the idea for 2020? Yeah, 2020.
Well, I guess a lot of a lot depends on the validator sales that are going on right now in terms of the RChain future. If we get very little funding and exist primarily on the volunteer effort, I figure that we will have slower but more diverse directions in terms of applications of the technology as it exists so far.
Yeah.
Rather than fixing all the problems quickly, which is what I hope we do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of issues that need to be addressed still. I mean, we have a long way to go till Saturn, and Venus.
And are there still a lot of problems or bugs? Or?
Well, it's like the kind of issues are like, well, how are we going to determine a wallet balance without paying for it? I mean, this is something we haven't figured out yet. I mean, obviously we can check the logs and we can see what's happened in the logs, and we can and we don't have to pay for that.
My feeling about charging to check a balance is, why not?
Yeah, I mean, if it uses resources, you should charge for it. That's true. But still solving that. I mean, that's a real issue that makes it
that is not going to go over well, folks.
Say again?
That is not going to go over well. It's going to the public will not buy it. Charging.
Okay, Ned, if that's the case, and I expect that is the case. Someone mentioned that the co-op could sponsor payments to some block height.
I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a way. No, I think they're going to work on a way. But right now they haven't.
You're saying that must be free in some fashion.
I think personally, I think if we try to tell people, oh, if you want to check your balance, you're going to be charged, I think we will be excoriated in public like you wouldn't believe. I'm sorry. Can you imagine on your bank, going to your bank, and every time you wanted to see what your balance was, they charged you a fee?
Well, I mean, you could charge a fee, or you can not charge a fee, or you can pay a fee. We could also pay people to check their wallets. But I don't see. Do you see it's necessary to exclude the the possibilities of both paying for and receiving for using a wallet?
Well, I've never really heard of anybody that gets, I'm just trying to think. Do I know of any instance where people receive tokens for using their wallet? I don't. Doesn't mean we can't do it, but I think to charge people to check a balance is kind of a non-starter. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Well, what do the other folks think about that?
Well,
I think there's a general problem of reading the blockchain, which I think we do need to solve, which probably means, caching values off the blockchain or something to,
Yeah.
The development of a lot more indexing and searching capabilities within RChain.
Yeah, so I want to look at this not from what the tech is forcing to happen, but from what the real world use case is. Because we shouldn't be driven by some force of the technology. Technology should serve the use case.
Well, I think it comes back to, other blockchains. Ethereum, you can read without paying. EOS, it has 0 transaction fees.
Yeah, and even Bitcoin. I just don't know of any crypto, fiat, or anything that charges you to check a balance.
So the question is, in my mind, is this something we're going to add within the R-node capabilities, or is this something that we're going to add in terms of support for caching the logs?
Well, they were talking about it this morning, and I think there's kind of, I wish Rao was here. I think there's kind of a solve for some immediacy, which isn't perfect, but it'll work. And then there's a solve for going forward. Mike Stay was kind of talking about, I guess, basically you subscribe to an address. And so then whenever there's it's kind of like an alert system. Honestly, it seemed extremely convoluted. And something really only a computer scientist would think of.
Well,
this is the thing, right? I mean, we're going to have like the mathematicians and the computer scientists on the back end, but then we're going to have everybody else who really just wants to use our blockchain.
Now, Thomas Love implemented the method of doing an alert to a URL. Of that, accessing a URL. That's something that's not that hard to do. But you don't always know what you want in advance.
Exactly.
I might put a plug in here for Mike Stay is going to come and talk at our computational calculi talk on Friday.
Oh, good.
And he's going to be talking about his implementation of multi-sig wallets, which I think will interest a lot of groups. It's really a good group. I highly recommend it. I'm focusing a lot of my discussion over there lately, and which brings me to the other.
Well, hold on, Gary. Before we get to that, are we done with the conversation about charging for balance checking? I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to kind of voice their opinion.
Yeah, I would like to voice my opinion.
Okay.
I think that you could set a price to 0, and in the beginning, and then later on, when you could raise this amount. Is that it?
So you're saying like down the road, you'd have no problem paying some amount of rev just to check your balance?
Well, let's think about that.
Well, I wanted to go
It would imply that somewhere down the line, somebody changes that. Who changes it?
I mean, you could always just build that into the smart contract, right? Have some time box in there.
And if you have controlled contracts, you need governance for those.
Yeah, but I guess I just wanted to ask HJ if, at some point down the road, and at what point would that be where he would feel comfortable paying something to check his balance?
I think it's always a matter of the percentage. What percentage are we talking? If I know it's to prevent denial of service attacks, I usually feel much better about it.
Yeah, but 95, that's my point. 99% of the world is not going to know about that. They're just going to say, why are you charging me to just check my balance?
One solution would be to have sponsored contracts where I could actually, pay the way for people to use my app, so that we could have the Get Balance as a sponsored app of the co-op. Since the money comes from the co-op into the co-op, it doesn't cost anything if the co-op's paying for it, right?
So now when someone DOS is the sponsored app, what do we do?
Well, I think there's two things we need. One is we need to control a switch to turn it on and off, and the other is, in essence, the proxy to filter the sender, and ultimately we need whitelists in order to do that. But we're ultimately going to need some kind of whitelisting mechanism for most contracts, and it could be well, you're on the whitelist until that's another problem. Yes, we do have the problem of for sponsored contracts, and maybe it should cost the user a tiny bit, a tiny fraction, but to discourage DOS.
Do you think that you could sell that to the mass public? We're going to charge you something because we have to ensure the network is safe. Do you think most people will buy that argument?
Yeah. Well, what about the app sponsor? Jim, you said this, but I was thinking it at the wrong level. You talked about having an app sponsor the balance checks.
The app
or you said the contract sponsors the balance check, which in my mind.
Well, the contract is sort of prepaid, or it has a fund for it wants to be run, so to speak. Pays for itself. It pays its way. In other words, when you're doing something on the user's behalf, the user should pay for it. But if it's for your behalf, you should pay for it.
Well, the fact of the matter is most people are going to be checking their balance in an app.
Right. And yeah, I was generalizing the idea of a sponsored app. Well, like the check balance contract could be sponsored. That would be an example of an app that we might want to sponsor. The co-op, be sponsored by the co-op ourselves.
So, yeah, so like for, let's go to a real example, like an Arvin's wallet, right? He could either, when somebody clicks that check balance button, he can sponsor that and have some kind of pool of rev that pays for that contract, which means since it's his contract, technically he may then increase his rebate towards the end of the year because he'll have more transactions and get a bigger rebate, so that could help offset the cost. And in that case, it becomes totally transparent to the user that there was some kind of fee. So that is good. So there's like two wins right there. There's the win that the user isn't getting charged to check their balance. And two, even though Arvin has to stake some rev to deploy those contracts, it'll bump up his number of transactions. And at the end of the year, when he gets his rebate, he'll get entitled to a bigger rebate. So that could actually work out in his favor, although at least help offset the cost.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think we can assume that the user is going to be a co-op member.
No. So the rebates don't go to the user of the app. The rebates go to the person who's running the smart contract and the deployment and the deploy. Users from the co-op get no rebate, right? They could use dApps all day. And this is something that Greg made clear the other day. I was a little, I didn't realize it, but if you use dApps, you get no rebate. You have to actually be the one who deploys the contract to get the rebate. So in this case, Jim, you as the user of Arvin's wallet, my RChain wallet, you could use it 100,000 times, you get no rebate for your usage of it. But Arvin, who's quote unquote sponsoring the wallet, and it's his contract that keeps getting deployed to do all the workings of the wallet, he's the one who will get the rebate at the end of the year because he's the one who's incurring all the compute time. Does it make sense? You're on mute, Jim.
I'm not sure how that happens. I mean, when you run the wallet, you're paying your way. Arvin isn't paying your way.
No, well, what do you mean by that? You're not, who are you paying?
You're paying to run the contracts.
So this is interesting. So if I send you rev, I have a transaction fee.
Right.
For that transaction, and everybody know, that's very standard. So there's no problem with that. But the contract is deployed by Arvin. He wrote that smart contract. Therefore, it's Arvin who's going to be building up his transactions towards his end of the year rebate, not you, Jim, who is sending money out to all these different people.
I guess the point I'm making is that regardless of who deployed the contract, it's the person who runs it that gets charged, not the person who wrote it. Right? I mean,
let's make sure we have the semantics right. If you're using an app, you don't know anything about the smart contract. It's the person who wrote the app.
You're actually running the Rolang, right? I mean, your app is running a piece of Rolang that deploys some code.
Right, and that's the person who's going to get the rebate, not the person who clicks the button.
We don't know who wrote it. It's the code. It's in the code. When you load the code into your browser, Okay, the contract is in the browser.
Okay, are you talking about the user of the wallet? So are you talking about you who's using the wallet, or Arvin who wrote the wallet?
I'm saying who wrote the wallet is immaterial.
No, that's not, no. It's
Nobody knows who wrote it. When you load the code in your browser, it has the contract source code in your browser, and it executes it from your browser. It never lets anybody know that Arvin wrote it.
No, I don't
Oh,
think
you're
that's
saying
correct.
you're saying that it's going to run a check balances contract, which is already on the net.
Right.
And when that contract runs,
It's the person who deployed that contract who's getting the rebates. So if it's right, so if you're Arvin and you have a contract to handle these transactions, right? That's the row line code that's sitting on the RChain network. Now Jim comes along to use that. You're using the wallet that Arvin. You're using the contract that Arvin has deployed.
that's
And
not
Arvin,
how I understand it. I mean, I'll look into that, but that's not how I understand it. I mean, basically, you have in tuple space, you have the receive, which happens to be a contract. I don't know where it switches the billing. I mean, in essence, running any contract would be free because you didn't write the contract. So that the person who wrote it is the one that's going to get billed.
the person who deployed it.
Person who deployed it.
And then it gets called through some mechanism. Right, most people are not going to know how to call a smart contract. They're going to go through some interface.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of the risk of deploying anything. It could cost you a fortune if you know.
It could.
I don't believe that's the way it works.
All right. Well, yeah, I guess so. So we need to drill down into that more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because now I'm not sure, but that's my understanding. Because when Greg said that, today's Wednesday, when he said that on Monday, and I asked him, I was a little surprised. It's the person who deploys the smart contract, not the user of the DApp.
I mean, it would be nice, like I said, it would be nice to be able to sponsor
Well,
the run of a contract, but
yeah,
obviously that has to be, you have to be able to control that.
right.
You have to have a controller, be able to set a controller for that so you can, in essence, modify the contract of how and when you sponsor the app.
Yeah. Darryl, you were on the call. Do you remember that conversation?
Yes, I have some memory of it.
Do you remember what Greg said?
I think you are remembering it accurately, as far as my memory. He seemed to say that though the author or the deployer of the contract is the one that gets fees paid to them, people who use dApps do not get to participate in the rebate program.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So I get a rebate based on the use of the things I've deployed. I didn't get billed to use them. The user got billed to use them, but the rebate comes to me, not to them.
Well, I don't know. Is that so? You're using a DApp. The DApp behind the scenes calls a smart contract, but you're not. So it's almost like every DApp developer is going to have some kind of staking pool to pay. No. Is it deploying a contract or running the? This is interesting.
Yeah, it has to be. the person running it has to pay. They're the one that are using the resources.
Yeah,
But the rebate can go to a different party. The rebate doesn't necessarily go to the user. The rebate can go to the deployer of the contract, so they can make a profit because their app is popular.
well, then really it's up to the DApp developer. So he's gonna have, that person will have to pay to deploy the Well, let me ask you a question. If I deploy a contract and it's sitting in the tuple space, when I then call that contract, do I have to pay or it's already paid for?
You get paid for running Roland code. Okay, well, if
No, here's my question. So say tic-tac-toe, right? We have that contract. And I deploy that contract. Now it's compiled in the server space. Can anybody just run it? Or to run it, do you actually have to keep deploying it?
you could just run it. You have to have the name of it, right? It's an unforgeable name, or it has to be in the registry.
So if I have the unforgeable name for that tic-tac-toe contract, I could keep calling it. Do I have to pay every time I call it?
Yep. The user has to pay for running the Roland machine, because they're the ones using the resource.
Okay.
But the rebate could go to a third party, the guy who did the deploy.
No, now I'm confused. We're gonna have to drill into this.
Okay, suppose $1 million rev were
Yeah.
collected running my contract. Didn't cost me anything because I wasn't the user. But now I can get a rebate of 1,000 rev because of this $1 million rev that was spent running my contract.
Yeah, did you have to pay money to deploy the contract in the first place?
Well, yeah, but that's negligible. Deploying a contract is doesn't really cost more than anything else you do. In terms of the resource used to run the Roland program, it's not very much. I mean, I don't know if they, you put it in the registry. That make you'll pay something for that, but obviously not a lot.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to drill into this. I'm honestly not sure now how that works. All right, I'll get to the bottom of it.
All right. So does anybody need rev? I can send them some rev if they need rev, test rev, that is. Let's see if this works. Now, where is the spreadsheet? Okay, I still have about 70 rev left here.
You're running low there, Jim.
Running low? No, well, they hand out 100.
Yeah, no, I'm teasing.
Now, I mean, they were handing out millions before, but they had the decimal point wrong. Now they have the decimal place correct. And so there's, that's a lot of nano rev. And and let's see, so where's the spreadsheet?
in the chat box is a link.
So, so did you get some rev, Ned? Yeah, you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Does anybody need rev? It looks like Daryl and some other people need to get a wallet. You have to go to myRChainWallet.com and create an account, and then we'll put the account number in the spreadsheet. But it's
Can you send one ref?
sure. You can send one rev. You want me to send you a rev?
No, I was just curious. What's the minimal amount you can send?
I think it's 1
nano rev.
1
nano rev.
1/1000th of a rev.
Okay.
Probably cost you a lot more in transaction fees.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how much are those? The transaction fees.
let's see. So we go to we go here, and this is how many rev I have. I have 949 here, or where can I save this? I'll stick it in the chat. That's what I'll do with it. And then I'll send 0.000000001 rev to, oops, that's it. I lost the address there. And we'll send that to let's see, nano rev to Lapin 7.
Nice. Thanks.
Okay. Amount. NAN. Not a number. Rev. That's not going to, it doesn't sound like it's going to work too well. A number. I think I'm going to get an error here, but I'll confirm it anyway. It says success, but you can try. It's still, it's just deployed it. It's just doing it. And go to DApp developers, Go to pinned items. Go to the log.
Holy shit.
Error while creating block. Oh, that's normal. It's still waiting for that. It got confirmed. And
Maybe you can compare the amount.
okay, well, this number here, I guess, transfer speed, I could set how much fee I wanted to pay. Maybe. This is on transfer. And this number looks too short. Let me go back to the dashboard. Oh, I should feel. So it looks like what is it, a 10,000th of a rev it cost me? Something? Looks like. So I don't know how that's going to be tuned in the future, but it cost me a 10,000th of a rev to send you a nano rev.
Yeah, but this nano ref, I cannot check if I've received something.
Well, you should. If you know how much you had, you should. You should see that you have one more now.
Yeah, I forgot what I had.
Well, if you haven't updated it, you might still be able to catch it. You have it open still. And actually, we could find it in the log. Okay. The problem I have with the log is it's not authoritative. Anybody can write to the log, and you don't know who wrote to the log. Whereas with Ethereum, events on the log, you know what transaction created them. And we don't know that. And I think we're going to need to know that. So that's the other thing I think it needs, HJ, is signed messages on the log. Signed out, or I don't know exactly how we identify them. But we have to know what contract output them. If we look at, let's see, I don't see any activity here. Okay. So if I put in my dashboard here and I redeploy the check balance contract, I redeploy it. But it's not, I don't really redeploy the check balances contract. The code that executes it, I redeploy. So I can see here the code that I deployed. And basically what I do is I look up in the registry the symbol, the red vault. So I get the contract here from the registry. And then I run the program checkbalance.row, but that checkbalance.row was something that was already deployed. It was deployed, it was deployed at Genesis time, in effect. Okay, and then we do some output to the log, accessing the vault, chaining vault, checking balance, balance is balance. Okay, and where is it? We've actually run it twice. We run it. And then when we deploy it, when it's proposed, we run it again. We do we validate it. Well, I don't see the output. Oh, here's the output. Finally, a lot was going on in the meantime, but we have this was the output of that of the code we deployed. It said we were running check wallet.row. It said we were accessing the vault, and it gave my account number. That's my account that we're checking the balance of, and it comes back with in NanoRev the balance of my account. Okay, so in principle, I can go through the log and I can find the balance of my account. Except that this is not trusted. This is not signed. This output isn't signed, so I don't know that it came from this employee. So if log events are going to be meaningful, as they are in Ethereum, we need to identify the output. Who says? What? You know, and if we have a trustworthy log, then who indexes and how it's indexed, we don't care. We can always check something. Have multiple sources, but we don't have to charge for reading the log. Anything else that we have 12 minutes before the other meeting?
I just signed up.
You just, oh, you got an account?
Yeah.
Okay, and but I don't see your address here.
Should I enter it into the spreadsheet?
Yeah, where is it? Oh,
The spreadsheet is read only.
Oh, okay.
what? If you're maybe you're not logged in. Anyone with a link can comment.
No, I had that too. Steve had to give me access.
Okay, but HJ is you're in RChain at GoogleGroups.com, so you should be able to write. What email are you logged in as? The HJ.
Oh.
I can add his regular one, but he's already in this group, so he should have right access. You're saying for you, Daryl. What's yours?
Yeah, my username is DNEU.
Yeah, you're not this.
Are people starting to make more use of Google Groups now?
I don't know. You know the. Try reloading. You're saying you're not logged in to Google under your Daryl D Nextdoor at gmail.com?
Yeah, actually I should be. And yeah, it looks like I'm able to do it because I just did it. Are you seeing me there now on the public wallet addresses document?
Yep, there you are. And looks like
why are we putting these addresses by these names?
this is so that, you know, when they restart the system or we get a new thing, you know, well, if I, you know, so you can send rev to people. Right? This is sort of like our directory.
It's when we were going to be doing testing, so.
Yeah,
We
this
want-
is primarily for testnet, but
Yeah.
you know, we could, in principle, we can use these addresses on any RChain network.
HJ, you're not running a node, are you? You're just using the wallet.
Yeah, I do. I don't run a node.
Okay, so
No, I don't run a node either.
It's too difficult.
I'm hoping I don't have to.
So Daryl, I'll send you 10 rev.
Woohoo!
We should, I haven't run a node for a while, but at some point we should all practice a Genesis ceremony so we could all spin up a node. I mean, you could run it in something like VirtualBox. It's really not that hard.
I'm hoping by the time I have to do that, it will be much easier than I think it is now. I don't have time to devote my thinking to running a node.
It's just basically, it's, so what kind of threw me was way back when they started updating, like every time I had to like update my Java, and I had to update Cadelia, and then there was a time when they wanted you to run it inside of Docker. But I think that's all gone now. If you have Ubuntu running like in VirtualBox, you could just run it. Or a Mac. Do you have a Mac?
No, I have Windows 10, which I'll probably use WSL if I ever try to run a node. Jim, isn't that right?
I'm not convinced it's fixed. I don't think it works.
Okay.
WSL.
I mean, VirtualBox is free and it works really well. You just have to get all the installables for Ubuntu. But we should probably schedule some time and do that as a group.
Problem is, if we do it on our own machine, you know, I mean, we're not going to leave it running.
No.
And so we're going to bootstrap our own network with our own wallets and our own stuff, right? But we're not going to run it. We can't run it because nobody's going to be online.
Yeah, we just run a Genesis ceremony with the group.
Yeah, so at some point we want to run our own. Yeah.
Well, we got the community meeting coming up.
Yeah.
All right.
It's nice to be able to, you know, we're just run our own code and not have to pay anybody on our own machine, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. As we're testing and making mistakes.
But that would be standalone.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to drop off and get ready for the next meeting.
Okay,
All right.
thanks, Ned.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
So shall we end? Does anybody have anything else?
I was just going to say that the process of signing up for my RChain wallet, where you have to click on the terms of service, the conditions, and then you click on that link, it doesn't go anywhere. But I guess that's because this is all very beta.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what that document, how that document gets written.
Yeah, will probably just rip off one from the Ethereum wallet.
Right. Well, thanks for this, Jim. This was exciting. For me, anyway.
Yeah. You're part of the new test rev economy.
Yeah, it's cool.
I'm going to jump off.
Okay, bye, HJ.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hi, HJ.
We'll see you guys on the other side, I guess.
See ya.